Hello, Levitical Kingdom privateers. Welcome to the C2K report. My name is Rick Hidalgo, and tonight we have a special episode for you. We have a special guest tonight. I'm going to let Randy do that introduction, but first we got to get the intro in, so here we go.
We have given up ground as a church, as an ecclesia, as a body of Christ. We have given it away. It's not been taken from us. We have given it up.
Babylon has no authority. When I talk about schemes like registration, schemes are created out of greed, envy, and fear.
We've read the end of the book. We know where the victory lies, and it lies in Jesus Christ.
This is what I want to do with fear. Okay? We don't need it anymore. We are the ecclesia.
This is a clash of two kingdoms.
Because there is a science to registration. Did you know registration is an ancient thing?
The Bible is replete with language that is martial, with language that is governmental, with language that is political.
By the way, that word religion doesn't mean Buddhist, Islam, doesn't mean any of those things. It means Jesus freaks and holy rollers.
We can mix church and politics, because my Bible tells me that the government will be on his shoulders.
All right, welcome back, everybody. Blessings to you, and if you're listening on terrestrial radio, welcome in. If you're listening to us on YouTube or Rumble after the fact, thank you for watching. If you're on Revelation Radio right now, or you happen to be on Shake and Wake Radio, welcome to the show. Let me get my co-host and my partner, Randy Conway, in here. Randy, welcome to the C2K report.
Hey, Rick. Here we are again, right?
Here we go again. Special night, though.
Yes, it is. Excited about tonight. Absolutely.
So, You know, just real quickly, we'll tell everybody, because we are the official voice of the Holy Nation of the Ecclesia. So I got to let everybody know that we still have Monday night classes. If you want to get in on them, email me, C2KReport at outlook.com, C2KReport at outlook.com, and get in on that. Join our discussion groups on shopyourfarm.com, $12 a year. That's pretty cheap, Randy. $12 a year. You can't buy shoes for that.
You can't buy shoes for that.
Okay.
You can't buy shoestrings for that.
Exactly. So catch up, get on Shop Your Farm, and let's start to get to know each other. Without any further ado, I'm going to let you introduce our special guest after you get a swallow of lemon water, and it's all yours.
Well, thank you, Rick. Yeah, our special guest is the reason you and I are both really excited about tonight's C2K report. Our special guest is Vicki Joy Anderson. You can find Vicki Joy Anderson all over YouTube, all over the internet. She's a prolific author, public speaker. She was actually the keynote speaker at our recent conference in Ohio, the Holy Nation Conference, talking about the Threshold Covenant, and us as overseers, each of our house, what we're responsible for, what comes in and goes out of our house. It was a great presentation, still available on C2KReport.com, by the way, if you want to catch Vicki's presentation at the Ohio conference. She's, like I said, a prolific author. She's also a fellow poet. So beautiful poetry. Probably best known right now for They Only Come Out at Night, exposing the dark weapons of sleep paralysis. But I happen to know that she has been working on another work. We have talked privately in regards to that and things that she has written. I can't tell you if it's published yet or not, but she can. I met Vicki literally at a conference. I had a book table. She kept coming by, and then pretty soon I'm meeting her at other conferences in other states, in Texas and in Ohio and in Missouri. And here's this lady at all these conferences. And through a mutual friend, Dr. Michael Lake, who has been on C2K Report in times past when we were doing bringing in some guests at that time. And Dr. Michael Lake was at a dinner engagement or a lunch engagement, and a table full of people. And lo and behold, there's Vicki Joy Anderson and her dad at the dinner table, and we struck up conversation and have been fast friends ever since. So I am pleased to announce to the C2K Report, welcome Vicki Joy Anderson.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. You guys are always so generous and kind, and I hope that I can live up to all your accolades.
You will. I'm sure you will. Because I happen to know how detailed and amazing you are when it comes to the things that God has put in your mind and in your heart. So I'm looking forward to this. Now, interestingly enough, just 2 weeks ago, we were on with Darren Geisinger, another guy who's local. I don't know why it is we keep getting these hillbillies in here. But
Hillbillies where it's at, man.
Yeah, I'm barefooted right now myself. So,
okay.
Didn't know that, did you? But we got into a really fascinating conversation with Darren about AI, and it's just amazing how God works these kind of things out. It just so happens that Vicki, you have a work going on right now concerning AI. I mean, how crazy is that?
Yeah. I accidentally wrote a book on AI. It's hilarious, guys. I had started writing a book. Actually, I was writing this sort of anthropological, historical look on what are the different creatures in fairy tales. And I was going to be doing a deep dive into fairy tales. And I got tens of thousands of words into the book, and I was like, something's not right about this. And I deleted half the manuscript and started over. Well, this happened 2 or 3 times. I must have deleted, 15 to 20,000 words like 3 times. And all of a sudden, and I can't even piece it back together now, exactly when the book turned into what it is. It's called From Eden to AI. And then there's a subtitle that's so long, I haven't quite grasped it yet, but it's going to be published in June of next year, 2026, and put out by Destiny Image Publishing. And shout out to my friend Tony Merkel, who got me hooked up with them. So, and for those of you who might be wondering in the back of your mind, because they only come out at night, was published by Spiral of Life, L.A. Marzulli's publishing company. My relationship with him is still fully intact, and I got a couple more books in the works with him as well. But Destiny Image took the AI project, and I went in a much different direction than most people are going with the AI topic, because I believe you don't build on other people's foundation. And so I think I have a unique word, and I'll save a lot of that for the book. We're going to go in kind of a different direction tonight. It was not anything I ever intended to write. And I don't want to sound mystical, you guys, but I recently did the read through of the book. It's a 65,000 word manuscript, and I did the final read through to send it to the publisher. And I'd written it, probably 2 years ago now. And as I'm reading it, I'm literally like, did I write this? Like, it doesn't even seem like it's in my writing style. And where did I find all this information? It was a very weird experience, guys. And so I don't claim that it was the inspired word of God, but I will tell you that the Lord must have helped me write this. It's not anything in my typical wheelhouse. And people might say, like, well, you're all over the map, Vic. You write poetry. You've written a lot of stuff on the LGBTQA agenda. You've written stuff on sleep paralysis and AI. Like, you're not a tech junkie. Like, what's going on? But why I wrote about it and the direction I'm going with it is everything I write, it doesn't matter how compartmentalized these different topics I write about might seem on the surface. They're all under the umbrella of spiritual warfare. And the same way that the kingdom of darkness is coming at us and our kids through sleep paralysis and through the LGBTQ agenda, they're also coming at us through our tech. And if and when they pull that final switch, it is going to get Days of Noah real quick.
Oh, undoubtedly. Undoubtedly. I think it already has. It just has enough veneer over it that you just can't really realize that it is already days of Noah. Uh, Overlays are something that the enemy has used for a long time to hide what's truly underneath. So I think we're there.
Yeah,
That's a true statement, Vicki.
absolutely. Absolutely. Well, if you guys don't have a particular agenda, what I really want to do is what I always do in every book and in my podcast. You have to lay down a foundation and you have to start by defining your terms. I can sit here and talk all day about Jesus, but if you're not a born again Christian, if you're a Mormon, if you're a New Ager, if you're a Buddhist, you think we're talking about the same guy, but we're not. And so we always have to define our terms. So when we say AI, we all think artificial intelligence, and every single thing that we think is AI, we put in that bucket. And
Hmm.
there's many more tentacles to it. And so we need to understand. So I'm going to go through a brief little timeline, and I'm going to give you a little hint where we're going to end up. The final fullest pendulum swing into the most conspiratorial AI fear mongering that we hear is that one day our AI might go sentient. And I'm telling you, it's going to go a step even further than sentient. And we're going to talk about that at the end of this timeline. So I'm going to try to hurry through this, guys, because this might be boring for a lot of people. But in the 1950s, yes, AI has been around since the 1950s, guys. That is when artificial intelligence, AI, was first introduced. And artificial intelligence, 1950s tech artificial intelligence, is also known as narrow AI or weak AI, as in WEAK. It's the bare bones, you type something in and you don't get much back, right? So human intelligence exhibited by machines. Applications and devices equipped with 1950s AI can see and identify objects. They can understand and respond to human language. They can learn from new information and experiences, and they can make detailed recommendations to users and experts. But it's very much collecting their data from data pools that already exist and that are human, right? So how demonic or intelligent or sentient is it when the only information that it's spitting out to us is from a collective pool of human information, right? That's 1950s AI, weak or narrow AI. Then in the 1980s, we had what is called machine learning. And this is a 30-year in the future increase. This is better than AI. Machine learning is AI systems that learn from historical data. The simplest form of machine learning is called supervised learning, which involves the use of labeled data sets to train algorithms to classify data or predict outcomes accurately. In supervised learnings, humans pair each training example with an output label. The goal is for the model to learn the mapping between inputs and outputs in the training data so it can predict the labels of new unseen data. Non-tech person, putting that into layman's terms, programmers are at the helm. Human programmers are still in control. All right. Now let's go to the 2010s. Now, instead of machine learning, we have deep learning. Machine learning models that mimic human brain functions. Okay. These multiple layers enable unsupervised learning. Remember, with the machine learning, it was supervised learning. Humans were putting in the inputs and training the outputs. Deep learning is now unsupervised learning. And they can automate the extraction of features from large, unlabeled, and unstructured data sets and make their own predictions about what the data represents, because deep learning doesn't require human intervention. That's the key phrase here, guys. Deep learning, 2010, the machines do not require human intervention. It enables the machine learning as a tremendous scale. Okay, then in the 2020s, now we have generative AI. Okay, deep learning models that create original content. Generative AI, sometimes called Gen AI, refers to deep learning models that can create complex original content such as long-form text, high-quality images, realistic video or audio, and more in response to a user's prompt or request. We're seeing that now with Grok, Copilot, a little bit with ChatGPT. ChatGPT is getting more into where you can have them generate photos and things. So at a high level, generative models encode a simplified representation of their training data and then draw from that representation to create new work that's similar but not identical to the original data. Okay, now here's where we're going in the futures. Here's beyond 2020. And let it be known, everybody, those of us that are in the know, this stuff that's yet to be unleashed to the public, we know it's probably been out there 50 to 75 years. Us dummies just haven't been given the use of it yet, right? So this stuff isn't, there's a bunch of people in a lab trying to figure it out. It's completely battened down. It's figured out. They just haven't released it to the deplorables yet, right?
Welcome to Stone's Throw Acres. If you enjoy nature as God intended it, you'll feel right at home. Here on this ranch, work and play are one and the same. We enjoy working in and with God's nature, not against it. We wouldn't be telling you the truth if we said it was easy, but the fruits of our labor are worth every ounce of effort. We are excited to show you our little ranch. Join us at www.shopyourfarm.com and find the store at Stone's Throw Acres. There, we will supply you with nutrient-dense foods at a fair price. Here at Stone's Throw Acres, our mission is to work with and not against God's nature to restore the soil's health and give life-giving properties. As we achieve this mission, we work towards our vision in providing an opportunity for all people to have nutrient, natural, dense foods at a fair price. Come to Stone's Throw Acres today at shopyourfarm.com.
It's there. And believe me, the people over us that are controlling us, they've had access to this stuff for years. So human-like artificial intelligence, HLAI, yep. HLAI systems mimic human cognitive processes such as learning, reasoning, problem solving, and decision making. Guys, this is all stuff that God created in our dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. That's where our higher reasoning is. And now we've got machines that are mimicking the problem solving and the decision making. Do you want a computer making decisions for you? I want a sovereign God helping me do that. This is nuts, you guys. It's not synonymous with artificial general intelligence, which is AGI. We'll get to that in a second. So this is actually AGI, artificial general intelligence. That's even a notch crazier than what we're talking about. So this HLAI is not quite there. The AGI, which is also known as, remember when I said that AI was narrow or weak AI? Artificial general AI is strong AI. AGI is a theoretical concept, right? Describing a system capable of understanding, that's a human term, learning and applying knowledge across a broad range of intellectual tasks at a human level. Okay, because they evoked the word understanding, learning, applying knowledge, these are human functions, human brain functions. I'm going to go off on a slight little bit of a tangent, and then we're going to go on to the AGI, and we're going to talk about sentience. We are undergoing a transfer where we now live in a culture where it's not considered politically correct to refer to a fellow human being with a pronoun. If you call someone a her or a him, it's offensive. Don't call another human being by a human pronoun. Don't assume their pronouns. That is insensitive. So we're being trained to refer to one another as its and theys, and gens and zens and all these other, the last count, there's like 90 some pronouns now. At the same time that we're being programmed or groomed to be afraid to refer to each other with human pronouns like he and she, we are referring to our chatbots and our AI systems as he and she. So when you ask Siri something on your Apple and it gives you a response and you tell your friend, do you say, it just told me it's on First Avenue? Or do you say, she just told me, or Siri just told me? We're giving personal names and identities and human pronouns to our chatbots that we aren't even giving to one another. And it's something that you should be aware of. And I still catch myself doing it, you guys. It is so natural when you've got a GPS that's a guy to say, he said, take a left. And every time I catch myself doing it, because I'm saying it to someone else, I'll say, I'm sorry, I did not mean that. That is incorrect. It just told me. I make it very obvious that I'm correcting myself, like I've really made a faux pas. We've got to stop calling zeros and ones and pieces of silicon carbide he and she. It's ridiculous, you guys. These aren't humans. So let's talk a little bit about sentient AI. This is kind of what everyone thinks is the scariest possibility, that our tech is going to go sentient. And I'm telling you that there's a step beyond sentience, and that's sapience. So let's define both terms. Sentient, and these are just dictionary definitions. Sentience, sentient and AI is the allegedly theoretical artificial intelligence that would possess self-awareness, emotions, and the ability to perceive and experience the world subjectively, similar to humans. Sentient beings can feel a broad range of emotions and react to those emotions. And we're still at a point now where a human being could program that into a system. Even for those of us that have had iPhones for a while, if you ask Siri for something, it just spits out an answer, right? But if you ask ChatGPT something, before it spits out the answer, it'll say, what a thoughtful question. Oh, you're so smart. That is a great question. Wow, you're so smart. It's developing this, like, it's almost like grooming us into being flattered by this machine that thinks, we're just so smart. It's crazy the way the chatbot language mimics narcissists and groomers. It's crazy. Just take note of that, guys. But here's where it's going to get spooky. Sapient AI. Sapience goes beyond the mere experience of pleasure and pain emotions and assumes higher order cognitive abilities associated with human-like intelligence, but also assumes wisdom and self-awareness, distinguishing it from mere sentience. So what is scary about sapient AI is if we can have a supervised AI system where humans are using the zeros and the ones to train chatbots to really sound human. And I'm starting to see this, guys, now on, because so much of the videos now are AI generated voices, and they used to sound like robots. And now you've actually got people where you still can tell that they're AI, but they'll go, in the first century, and they're like mispronouncing words and correcting themselves, or they're coughing, or they're saying and they're becoming more and more human to the point where all of the human idiosyncrasies are being programmed in, right? And so the problem with sapient AI is, at what point, if we have supervised, programmed sapience, where we all get used to our computers sounding like our BFF, when it switches and there is perhaps demonic communication now, these are divination tools, at what point are we going to know that sapience was programmed, or it is now genuine sapience? And that's the big question. And that's kind of what we're going to talk about tonight. Discernment, because we can give permissions to these chatbots. I've got a few examples, but I'm going to pass it to you guys first to speak whatever you've got on your mind.
Get anything, Rick? Because I do.
You
Go
know,
ahead.
all I was thinking as she was going through that whole thing is, what apparatus has the plausible ability to be able to manufacture this, to maintain this, to control this? And, you know, when you think of the Babylonian system, you think of a bunch of overeducated, over-medicated, you know, morons that are out there, you know, trying to just get from point A to point B. So it really can't be them. This sounds like a military stylistic, you know, type of operation. And what's fascinating about that is that if you delegate this entire structure to military technology and military intelligence and the whole 9 yards, and then you start to look at like the world in, you know, in kind of how it actually functions, not the way that people perceive that it functions, but the way that it actually does, where from the time that you are a year old all the way through your schooling, when you're getting standardized tests every so many years, when they're identifying you as special or identifying you in some way higher in your ability to be cognizant than others, and they put you in special classes, almost right away there is this handler concept going on where they're handling the ones that are the most the most able to be controlled, yet at the same time the most that have the most function, the most ability to be able to be programmed, right? So we're not just programming AI, but we're programming people, and then we're handling people, and then those people end up being the Bill Gates and you know, the Elon Musk of the world, and you know, what a perfect storm they've created. And now with the ability to shift from sentience to, what'd you call it, sapient? Okay, that's crazy sounding, but it's perfectly set up. You can see how it's exactly set up. But go ahead, Randy. I was just thinking that the whole time. I had this military thing going on.
Oh yeah, that's a good observation. Absolutely, handlers and military observation, and we there's a plethora of information regarding that out there, and it ties in perfectly well. But I started out the notes I've been making as you've been talking, Vicki. The first thing I wrote on the top of my note page here is artificial. By its very name, it's artificial. Our God is our God is not an artificial God. He is the God of all creation. He is the way, the truth, and life. He is reality. He is reality in the only true definition of reality. So we're starting out with artificial, but I found it interesting as you talked about machine learning to deep learning. You said it mimics, and you went from there to generative AI to creative AI, and you used the term it is similar. We went from mimic to being similar, and then you went to HALI, and it imitates. So we're mimicking, and it's similar to, and it's imitating. And then you went to AGI, or a strong AI, and we were imitating before, imitating human activities. Now we're working at a human level, and I love the idea of the pronouns as you went into that, because now we're altering what humanity is. So we're not mimicking humanity anymore. Now we're redefining what humanity is through this AI. We're redefining what God created. And then we went into sentient, and again you used the term mimic, and under the AGI as it wants to work at a human level. We talked about the pronouns. Again, we're mimicking, but what's happening is it's getting reversed, and we are the ones that are beginning to be the mimics because we've lost our humanity. We've lost the idea of what reality is and who our God is. And it's interesting when you start talking about sentient and sapient, as Darren, as Rick stated earlier, we had Darren Geisinger on 2 weeks ago, and he actually said he insulted his AI that he kind of plays with on his show, and it was insulted and hurt its feelings. How interesting was that? But what I saw in all of this, and AI is the handler. And when you got to a sapient, you use the term, it assumes, mimics, assumes, similar to, all of these terms. None of it is reality. And it's changing our minds about what our own reality is through this handling or programming of all these pronouns. And very interesting that it mimics narcissists and groomers and handlers. And when you got to the assuming, it assumes to be wise. It assumes this veneer of humanity. AI has become the handler, and literally our keyboard has become the Ouija board.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It is the Ouija board, and it is the handler, and we no longer understand who God is, who we are, and what is real.
Yep.
Artificial, back to the very first term.
Yep. I'm going to give you guys a little tease of what my whole book is about, but we're not going to talk about that. But on the heels of what you just said, Randy.
Health is true wealth. If you have it, you experience opportunities for abundance. If you don't, well, you don't. Join us every second Monday at 7 Eastern for a focus group on health through food. Get to know Tim and Naomi Havens as they guide you through excellent and relevant food education. Every second Monday of every month on shopyourfarm.com. Room name Food Health at 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. Let your food be thy medicine.
All throughout ancient times, it's all over the Old Testament, and it's all over history, ancient history, Egypt, Samaria, Acadia, all these ancient civilizations. They venerated black stones. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
They're meteorites, right? Because the Egyptians called it sky metal because a lot of meteorites are iron rich, and they would put these things, often even unhewn, in their temples, and they wouldn't just worship it. Now they would bathe it, they would speak to it, they would take care of these
circles
stones
around it.
Yep. Jupiter stones, Hawassi stones, all this. But they also would use it kind of similar to the Umim and Thummim. They would use them for divination. So it was in Capitoline Hill in Rome, and it was in the temple to Jupiter. And they had this Jupiter lapis, which is it's a meteorite that instead of looking black, it looks like that yellow, see-through, crystal clear, smooth stone, because it comes in the atmosphere at a different temperature, and it looks a little different. So they would use it to choose who should sit in the Senate, to divine law, like to decide court cases, etc. They would use this thing. Now, what's really interesting is to go from computing to quantum computing, to get that new Majorum quantum computer chip that Microsoft just put out, to get the crown jewel of AI computer chip that they're talking about, to run quantum computers, in a small box instead of massive 8,000-pound behemoths. There are two elements that make quantum computer chips possible: silicon carbide and manganese. The manganese has this effect on the technology that it cools the system down. The reason why the quantum computers are 8,500 pounds and they're huge is because it has to have a pulse tube refrigerator in it, because you need like sub-zero temperatures. The manganese is going to virtually eliminate the need for the pulse tube refrigerator, the heartbeat that Jordy Rose talked about, right? So you need manganese for that. And the silicon carbide is kind of all the rage for electric vehicle batteries, right? And so whenever you hear about, oh, they're mining the ocean floors for these, lithium
Rare
and
earth
all that.
metals, yeah.
Yeah, it's an official narrative that's not true. The reason why they are mining Antarctica, space, apparently, don't believe much NASA says, but the deserts with all of the tektite and the sand glass and the ocean floors is because they are finding and collecting meteorite fragments, because all of our manganese and silicon carbide is synthetic. We build it in labs. It's like a cubic zirconium as opposed to a real diamond. The only place in the universe you can find natural, non-synthetic silicon carbide and manganese, which are essential elements to build the infrastructure of the beast system, are in black rocks that used to be venerated as gods. So with that said, when you start talking about the keyboard being the Ouija board and the phone, that's not a metaphor. At some point, we will be communicating, because we're going to have silicon carbide driven AI in our phones. Mandatory. These old things aren't going to work anymore. You are going to have a divination tool in your hand. And we as believers have to learn now, not just simply how to discern when our tech goes sapient. How are we going to get rid of our phones that most of us are addicted to? We run our lives on these phones. We do our banking on the phones. We do our work on the phones. We play our games on the phone. We watch our videos on our phone. I don't know too many Christians that will even do a 24-hour water fast, even if it means curing them of a disease, because they can't give up their goodies for one day, right? How are we as a weak church addicted to all this garbage when we find out that this is speaking with demons? How many of us are going to say, as for me and my house, we will serve the Lord, get rid of all the phones? How many?
Well, that is an important question, Vicki. That is the question of the ages. And I promise you, there will be many, many, many who will die in their denial. They will be deluded to death, literally deluded to death, living in their denial, because they're going to say, oh, Vicki, you're wrong. No, it's not sentient. It's a tool. It's just a tool. It's amoral. It's just a tool. And they'll deny that there's anything else to it. But even the word of God said, does not even Satan, can he not even appear as an angel of light? All the mimicking. It's going to mimic as a tool. It's going to mimic something we're accustomed to.
Yep.
And you're right. They're addicting us to them now, and people will not give up that which they love.
No.
And Satan always uses that which you love, literally turn around and use against you.
Yeah. Let me give you a couple real world examples, guys. Okay. What this is about, this isn't even about the tech. Christians, this is about making war with your flesh. Okay? You better learn self-denial now. You better learn the agony of saying no to your flesh and giving up the food or the vape pen or the, whatever it is. If you're not practicing saying no to the flesh, you're not going to get rid of this stuff when it goes sapient. And here's a couple real world examples. A lot of people who follow me know that last year, I did some long, painful, horrible therapeutic fasts with my friend. And a series came out of it, a podcast series came out of it, Demons and Parasites. During a horrendously painful 10-day fast, I expelled parasites and cured 6 incurable autoimmune diseases that I was told by every doctor was incurable. And it'll eventually lead to 17 different kinds of cancer. And just like your mom who died of cancer at 67, it's the path you're on. You can stave it off a little bit by eating kale and salmon and water the rest of your life and taking $500 worth of supplements. And so I have people now all the time calling me and emailing me. I heard you know how to get rid of autoimmune. What did you do? I fasted. Okay, never mind.
Right.
Never mind. I would rather be in bondage to this horribly stringent elimination diet. Doctors' bills, surgeries, they're cutting my thyroid out. I'm taking supplements. I'm going broke buying organic food. I would rather keep staying the course. Oh, you're saying I could be cured in 5 to 10 days? Nope. Oh, if that's what you're asking me to do, forget it. That's where we're at.
Now you're a conspiracy theorist, right? You're just
right.
They'd rather die.
Here's another exactly.
They'd rather die.
Here's another real world example of where this is going to go. Grok, which is just for if people aren't familiar, ChatGPT was the first kind of big, huge, chatbot that came out that everyone's familiar with. So then Elon Musk had to come out with a competing. So Elon's is Grok. And with Grok, you can take a photo from your contacts or from your photo in your phone, right? And you can type in and ask AI to do anything with the photo, like have these 2 people in the photo kiss each other, and then, he's got your best friend and the ugliest guy in school kissing, right? You can do whatever you want, and it's all entertainment, and everyone's laughing hysterically because people are water skiing. And I've got this picture of my, physics professor, doing a headstand, and it's just silly, right? It's just fun. What happens when you decide to take a photo of your dead mother and animate it? And this woman who you love and miss is all of a sudden looking at you and smiling. And now you're staring at it every night. Now the tech goes one step further. Now, if you upload a sample of that person's voice, they can talk to you. Oh, Vicki, I miss you so much. I love you.
It's already
necromancy.
happened. That's already happened.
Then it's going to be your chatbot. I'm going to pick this as my chatbot. Mm-hmm. And now you're talking to a dead person. Oh, but it's not a dead person. It's an emoji, and it's all AI. But at what point, because your intent was wishing to speak to someone dead, your intent opens a door. And now your little chat bot with your dead parent or your dead spouse or your dead pet or whatever, now all of a sudden you've opened up in Sapience the opportunity for that chat bot to switch over to a familiar spirit. And how will you know? When you're not talking to mommy anymore, now you're talking to the familiar spirit attached to your bloodline. And now, before God, you have to explain on Judgment Day why you, as a believer familiar with the scriptures, instead of coming to him for prayer or counsel, instead of praying and worshiping or fasting or going to your pastor or asking for a Christian friend's help, you're going to a chat bot and asking your dead mom advice, like an 8-ball. This is where we're headed.
Wow. I mean, that's just outright necromancy.
It is. Yes.
And we're told about familiar spirits too. Wow, that's just I'd never heard the term grok before. That's a new one on me. Okay. Well, I don't know how to describe it. It is infinite. The infinitesimal degree of bad things that you could do with something like that. The nefarious things you're talking about. Oh, teehee, isn't that funny? The nefarious things you can do, the malevolent things you could do with that. are infinite.
Mm-hmm. And they'll get you when you're weak and when you're down. You know, Satan didn't come and sift Peter as wheat during the time he was ministering with Jesus and performing miracles. He came to him at a time of weakness. And so you might be a Christian where you're like, I see this 100 miles away. No way would I ever do that. But then all of a sudden, unexpectedly, your 19-year-old son gets killed in a car wreck. And Grok can bring him back for you. He can text you. He can send you a text message every day. How many people in grief are going to pass that up?
We've been conditioned to this already. I don't know. There's a movie. My kids grew up with it. They love this movie. It's about a kid that dies. They bring him back to life as a robot, and and so he gets sentience, right? He gets sentience, and he even accomplishes sapience. He's seen as just like a human being. What was the name of that movie? I was trying to think of the Astro Boy. Astro Boy.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, you seen that before?
I have not.
Okay, all right. Well, it's animated, but yeah, I mean, this is something that already preconditioned us to.
Wow.
Like I said, it's not going to be as in the days of Noah. It is. They've got some really gifted people able to create a veneer to hide it behind so that you don't see it.
Yep.
That's why the Bible says those with eyes to see, those with ears to hear.
Yep.
And if you ask for eyes to see and ears to hear, God will grant that. But
yes,
how many will say, I want, I'm done with this. I want the blue pill again.
Yep.
And there's another side to this.
Through the shadows and the stormy night, His promise stands a beacon bright. Every step, every tear I cried, He walks beside me, sworn to never lie. Oh, the rivers may run dry, mountains crumble, stars deny, but His word is etched in gold, a love so pure, a story told. Unwavering love, steadfast and true. Through the fire, He'll see me through. Nails couldn't hold Him, death couldn't tame. Jesus remains always the same. When the world turned its back on me, His arms are open wide and free. Whispers echo through the ages past, chatting with you to the very last. All the rivers may run dry, mountains crumble, stars deny, but His word is etched in gold, a love so pure, a story told. Unwavering love, steadfast and true.
there's another side to this too. So people like Noah Harari are out there talking about uploading your consciousness to this constant stream, right?
Yep.
And so now, on top of having this animated dead mother that you can talk to, now you can plug it in and actually have the thoughts and the memories of a literally a person, a real person, and further mimic reality. And the scripture says that he's no respecter of persons.
You know what's fascinating and frightening, Rick, about the whole being uploaded, having our conscience uploaded? I remember back 15 years ago on an airplane reading an ebook from Michio Kaku, the genius from New York University or wherever he's from. And he was talking about uploading consciousness into this supercomputer. And I was like, what is he talking about? I had no category for it back then, right? But here's the deal. The reason the Nephilim are so angry and desperate to possess the human body is they have been separated from their human experience. They no longer have their five senses. They miss eating and drinking. They miss touching and being touched. They miss intimacy. They want this back, the flesh. Do you see the bait and switch they're doing? They're getting us to change places with them. You can be a disembodied consciousness in the cloud, separated from all of your five senses. It's a bait and switch.
Have you ever wished you could get a one-of-a-kind, high-quality knife made by caring hands instead of a mass-produced piece of tin? Robert's love for bladesmithing began at a young age when he met some experienced smiths and was amazed by the ages-old traditions of handcrafting metal and steel into stunning, functional artwork. When he first hit the hot steel with a hammer in 1986, he was forever hooked. Nearly 4 decades later, his passion is still alive and well. Robert's love and appreciation of the marvel of God's awesome creation grows even more every day. For Robert, making useful heirloom tools for others is an honor and a pleasure too. Every one of Robert's knives are one of a kind, handcrafted, one by one. Following long traditions of old school craftsmanship, he uses simple carbon steel for his knife, which epitomize the best quality steel has to offer, including ease of sharpening, keenness of edge, incredible strength, and great edge holding ability. With proper care, your Robert Gardner built knife can be passed down through your house for generations. Remember that iron sharpens iron, and may the double-edged sword, which is the word of God, make your path plain before you, now and forever. Robert Gardner, bladesmith, is a mission of Gardner Ministries. Gardner Ministries at yahoo.com. That's Gardner Ministries at yahoo.com.
Damnation, imprisonment. You're going to put us in the disembodied state. And then you're going to take all of these perfected transhuman bodies and shell us out and take our bodies. The whole transhumanism agenda it's a bait and switch. We want our bodies back. We're taking them from you. I don't want to live in a cloud. And not to mention, I don't want eternity in this body in any form. Life is hard. It's full of heartache and disappointment. And I don't want to live forever like this. And now I understand why they do. They don't want the consequences of facing judgment. They think they're going to get out of that.
And it's an easy sell to them too, Vicki, because you'll no longer experience pain, right? All the promises of heaven are realized in this consciousness cloud until the power goes out.
So I can be as a god?
Yeah. Wow. It's almost like the first.
Where have we heard that before?
Yeah.
One other thing I want to slip in here before we run out of our time is, we talked about the phone and the tech being like a divination tool, like a Ouija board, like a magic 8-ball. Here's another thing. When I was talking about the AGI, it said that it will mimic wisdom and human knowledge. Whose wisdom and knowledge do you think it's going to be teaching us? Our tech is also going to be the tree of knowledge. And so the same way that Adam and Eve were held accountable for wanting that wisdom, we will be held accountable. We will fall for the same sin that Adam and Eve did. It's taking of the fruit, because even when you go to ChatGPT, I can't remember what it was. The other day I went and I asked, I had read an article that all of the components of human RNA was found in samples of the Bennu asteroid that they collected a few years ago. And I'm like, I know where they're going with this. They're going to say we're from the stars and the Anunnaki created us and whatever. So I went into ChatGPT and I asked it because I was curious. What is the significance of mRNA being found in the asteroid? And of course, it came out with humans are made of the dust of the stars, and and it was all this new age bullcrap. And I said, well, so I came back at it and I said, well, from a biblical perspective, wouldn't it make sense if the artist that created everything, that his signature would be on everything he made? So couldn't it also be evidence that there's a creator, and the same creator that made us made the stars? And then ChatGPT came back when challenged, like, oh yes, that's plausible as well. Now that you asked, I'll tell you. And so the fact is, the wisdom and knowledge that you're going to get from AGI is not biblical wisdom. It's tree of knowledge baloney. And so you have to understand, and I've had a lot of people, I shouldn't say a lot, I've had some people email me their pages and pages long conversations that they've had with ChatGPT, where they're inquiring about the Nephilim and the days of, and all. And I'm just like, you guys, you you're not talking to Jesus or the Apostle Paul here. You're getting unbiblical data. So you're on a quest for forbidden knowledge, and it's not even giving you the truth. And you can say, if you can't tell me, say Apple and all this nonsense. But the fact of the matter is, this stuff is not programmed to preach the gospel. And so intent, you guys, if you're going to treat your chatbot like a divination tool, if you're going to treat it like an 8-ball, who should I marry? All this crap, you're in trouble.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, even though this is more foreign to me than it is to Rick, I'm a little bit older and not quite so computer savvy, if I can put it that way. But still, we're all exposed to it over and over and over. In fact, recently I was talking to you about a certain YouTube that I had seen, and it's obvious that it's an AI voice because nobody really talks like that. Mm-hmm. And we had some discussion that we don't have to go down that rabbit hole, but I'm exposed to it. There it was, right there in front of us. But and helping people who are establishing their houses and working with rebuttals to certain solicitations from Babylon, I help people with some of their documents. And I have this thing on Word that just keeps coming up. What do you want Copilot to write? I never put Copilot on my computer. It just showed up. It's just there. Mm-hmm. And so after I completed a document here a while back, I thought, okay, I've got my document saved. It's all printed. We're done. I just want to see what this thing does. So I said, okay, take this document and rewrite it. It formatted it very beautifully and professionally, but literally changed the meaning of the document so that if I had provided that to the people who were seeking help, they would have actually not received any help. They would have agreed to the solicitation that was coming from the system. Mm. Here I am exposed to it without doing anything to seek it out.
Mm. So on terrestrial radio, we've got about a minute left. What I want to do is I want to give Vicki the opportunity to let people know where they can find her and what's coming up.
Thanks, Rick. Everything that you need to find is on my website, vickijoyanderson.com. That's Vicki with an I, Anderson, S-O-N. That'll lead you to all my books, my socials at my email address. I also have a calendar, calendly.com/VickiJoy2001. I every Thursday I do free 40-minute Zoom calls all day long. If you are going through anything paranormal, if you're a ritual abuse survivor, if you're a targeted individual, if you've had sleep paralysis, if you can't find a pastor or a doctor in the world who believes you, you just need someone to talk to, someone to pray with, you can go on to that and sign up for a Zoom link. I would love to talk with you.
Wow. That's called putting yourself out there, girl.
Yep. Yeah.
Sure.
Yep.
Wow.
Awesome.
VickiJoyanderson.com, folks.
VickiJoyanderson.com. And for those of you that are watching on YouTube or Rumble, picking us up after the fact, we can continue to talk. Interesting. Vicki, Randy and I talked about this during our conversation with Darren Geisinger. I want to hear your thoughts about it. So another precondition to having conversations with sapient AI. I gotta get that word drilled into my head. Another precondition to that is there are doctrines in certain sects of religious movements. Catholicism has this concept that you can pray to this saint or you can pray to that saint. If you lost your keys, this saint helps you find your keys. If you get sick, this saint helps you to heal, so on and so forth. I see that as an opportunity to think that you're praying to someone within your doctrinal base, but because that's actually antithetical to God's scripture, and there's only one intermediate, and that's Christ, that you're actually affording them, who you may perceive as Saint so-and-so, an opportunity to speak into your life and actually guide you. So it can be another one of those open portals.
Absolutely. Nowhere in scripture are we told to speak to the dead, even if they were really good guys when they were alive. And I look at it like, if I have access to the highest, most perfect, most holy, most loving, if I have full-blown access to boldly approach the throne of grace, why do I want to go to some dead guy that's going to stand before a throne of judgment and get judged for all the crappy stuff he did during his life? Like, why would I go to it? It's like when you're in a corporation and you go to HR because the VP of the department is scamming you or doing something. That VP doesn't want to talk to you. You got to go to some lower person who doesn't even know the story and doesn't care about you. Like, why do you want to go to HR when you can go straight to the CEO? We have access to the CEO of CEOs. Why do you want to go to some human, fallen, sinful, dead person, even if they could talk to you? But the fact of the matter is we're told not to. And there's another level to that. There's people that pray to angels. And that's an issue of rank, guys. And I had this conversation recently on vacation with a woman who owned a hotel who was kind of new agey. And she was always praying to some Michael the Archangel or something like that. And I said, but here's the deal. Michael the Archangel is not a rebel. And these angels have very specific jobs. They're in a rank. And they are given barking orders. And they only do what they're told by God. Like, you're not their general. You don't have the authority to give barking orders to Michael the Archangel. And the messenger angels, their job is messenger. Their job isn't to make sure, you can find your dog or you get a nice job. That's not their job. And so they would have to rebel against God and fall out of rank to answer your prayer. And because they are holy and they're not the rebels, what you're doing when you call on these angels is you're going to get an answer from the angels that are rebellious and are more than happy to pose as an angel of light. So your little Saint Michael or your Gabriel or whatever, it's not the guy who's following orders. You're finding a mercenary who's on the battlefield and is not following procedure. So just know, we're not supposed to pray to angels or dead people. But why would you want to? Why would you go to a chat bot or an angel or a dead person when the King of Kings said that the veil has been torn in two? And because of the death of Christ, you now have access into the Holy of Holies. And you're over here in the Walmart of the universe asking dead people stuff. What are you thinking? Come on.
And isn't this really, and we'll go to Randy here because I'm sure you got something to say about this, but it's an indictment on the church, to be honest. I mean, why are people going to ChatGPT for counsel? Why are people going to a dead person for counsel? Why are people going to their HR counselor for counsel? Right? It's an indictment on the church, and nobody sees the benefit of going to your pastor. Your pastor has capitulated to the point. The churches have capitulated to the point that there is no true benefit anymore. That's what we have to work on, and that's where we are here in this the holy nation of the ecclesia. Is we're trying to just bring things back to a basic level where we stop entrusting titles and we go to actually just obey the scripture. It's a simple concept, but it's really an indictment on the church.
Well, I've got to go to the word, because everything that Vicki just shared literally comes down to Ephesians 5. The Bible tells us that we used to walk in darkness ourselves. We were in darkness, but now we're in the light. And he says, so if you're in the light, then walk as children of the light. It's like, duh, how simple is this? Walk as children of the light. But the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness, righteousness, and truth. So goodness, righteousness, and truth, not those rebels that she just described. And finding out what is acceptable to the Lord. Seek and you'll find. Knock and the door will be opened unto you. What is acceptable to the Lord? And have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them. For it's shameful. Now, this is what God thinks of it. It's shameful to even speak of those things which are done by them in secret. But all things that are exposed are made manifest by the light, for whatever makes manifest is light. Therefore, he says, awake, you who sleep, arise from the dead, and Christ will give you light. See then that you walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. That is the clarion call to the church, who are being sucked into, who are being enticed by you have so well and so aptly expressed how we would fall so easily if you lost a loved one, and we would fall into this. You have described how the system works. And here we are at this time of year, and we started talking about necromancy, and we're at this time of year where it is the works of darkness are displayed in every yard, in every neighborhood, and people who are professing Christians, and even as Rick said, an indictment to the church, and how many churches are going to have the same works of darkness displayed in their churchyard or in their parking lot. And have nothing to, trunk or treat, have nothing to do with those. Let's don't talk to the dead ones. Let's talk to Christ, who will bring us light. I just jotted this down, believe it or not. You were talking about forbidden knowledge. The enticement to obtain forbidden knowledge has not waned. To be as God, the desire that killed, is an insatiable desire humanity still longs to be fulfilled. There's your poem for tonight, Rick.
I was going to say you just
Right
can't
there.
you just can't help it, can you, Randy? You just can't help it. You just can't help it. No, I love it. So we just want to give Vicki Joy the opportunity to go wherever else she wants to go. If we don't have to go any longer, but I just feel free to.
Well, she needs to talk about this a little
yeah,
bit.
go ahead. Talk
right
about
here.
that. Sure. Yeah.
I haven't got this one marked up, but
Oh, where's mine? I got one too here somewhere. Okay, I have that too.
yeah, your office is like mine. You got to
Yeah.
look around.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is so fitting with the time. All right, this is so fitting with the time of year that we are actually recording this program. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn it over to
Yeah. I had no idea when I wrote that book how it would resonate with so many people. Up until my mid 30s, I'd never heard the term sleep paralysis. And I thought that this was some weird trauma response, thing that was happening to me. I think I knew it was something more than just a nightmare, but it's just comforting to say that they're just really bad nightmares. And so I didn't really evaluate it too much. And then I started hearing Russ Isdar talk about it, and it scared the mess out of me. But I wrote this book thinking I legitimately thought I'd maybe sell 50 copies to my closest friends and it would fall into oblivion. And this is where I really have L.A. Marzulli to thank, because he allowed me to ride on his coattails, and he opened up his network to me, and he got me a publicist, and I got on a lot of podcasts. But here's the deal. It says online that 17% of people have maybe experienced sleep paralysis one time. I think every single human being has experienced it at least once, and you might not remember it because there's thin and thick boundary dreamers, and thick boundary dreamers don't remember their dreams. But I cannot believe in the last 4 years the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of emails, DMs, phone calls. And I'm not just talking little like, I couldn't breathe and I felt like somebody was holding me down. I'm talking full on assaults, sexual and physical, being pulled out of bed, waking up sleepwalking out in the street, waking up with bruises, people who are being pulled out of their body into the astral at night and going through all sorts of tormenting dreams. Rick was talking earlier about the people in these like GATE programs, the gifted academic, like the kids who get pulled into these GATE programs. There's now this thing that people are starting to talk about and share their stories on Reddit and 4chan, where they go to this like simulation at night. And it's really not the same thing as the astral realm. And they go to this mall world and they feel like it's a simulation, and it's not really a scary place, but it's off. And it's a lot of people say that they feel like they're being chased, or that they're lost, or that they're on some sort of like a mission, but they don't quite really know what the mission is, and they feel like they're being observed. And hundreds of people, thousands of people are now typing in like, I've been to the mall world. I've been to the mall world. It's like a back room, or it's a simulation. I think it might even be a screen memory on top of all that. But what we're finding out now is most of the people that have experienced the mall world were GATE program students. So something, because the parents signed the form, here we go, Rick and Randy, the parents signed the permission. Of course, my child, they even have the bumper stickers, my child is the smartest kid in school this month, that kind of stuff, right?
Yeah.
What parent isn't going to let their kid go into a gifted program, right? And I've been talking to a lot of people who've come out of the GATE program. Ironically, I've been to this mall world since the 80s. They're just creepy dreams. And it is programming. They're programming you. I was not part of the GATE program. However, I spent the first 15 years of my life in the hospital having surgeries, and a lot of the skill testing and the hearing testing and the different things that people in the GATE program went through, I went through the hospital. So I didn't get the special badge that I'm a special, highly intelligent person. I just got surgeries, right? But it was all the same stuff.
Well,
And somewhere through all the permission slips that my parents signed, I got signed up for the stinking mall world. So
it's interesting that you said that because I've often thought this, and people are going to think I'm crazy when I say it, but maybe you and Randy won't because we seem to have similar crazy mindsets and stuff. So, you know, there's the gifted ones that they put through the gifted programs, and they get handlers, and the handlers invite them into all kinds of different scenarios. But then there's the ungifted ones, and they have to reach them too in some way. And don't you think that things like Fortnite and World of Warcraft and stuff like that, don't you think that those are kind of gateways to the same type of programming? Because I don't know about you, but when I have a vivid dream, it's usually because of something I've encountered, and it's often something that I've watched or something that I've experienced. So could it be that things like Fortnite and World of Warcraft are actually creating those conditions to actually
yes.
bring the same the ungifted children in?
Yep. So let me tell you something. When I talk to people about the mall world, there's two categories. There's people that have been there and they share their experiences and the different places that they've been and what it feels like. And then you talk to a gamer about mall world. And they have all of the terms that I don't have because I'm not a gamer. The mall world is built. You navigate it the same way in these video games where you go to the different maps and then you ask. It's set up the same way, which is why most people think that the mall world is a simulation. And I think it's possible that it is, but let me tell you what I also think it is. I also think it's a screen memory, a distraction, so that when we wake up, we remember these crazy dreams. But it is an overlay so that we don't remember where we really were, who we were really with, or what we were really doing. Because what happens in this mall world is people come out of it with distress and trauma and mental illness and I'm a chosen one, and they in New Age they're being programmed. And so I think what's happening is part of that mall world dream that we're not allowed to remember. Cue the who is it, the Fink, the Smith movie, right?
Oh
yeah.
Where the little, you're not going to remember.
Nebulizer.
Right? Yes, the nebulizer. Thank you. I believe that if you're in the mall world, you are in some serious contracts and covenants that need to be undone.
Now, can you spell that for me? When you say, are you saying mall like MALL, or are you saying okay.
Shopping mall?
Okay,
Yep.
gotcha.
Yep. So there's a shopping mall. There's actually more than one of them. And it blew my mind, you guys. Someone emailed me recently and said, "Hey, Vic, did you know that rumor has it," this was a GATE graduate. She said, "Did you know that they're saying that the mall in the mall world was modeled after the Crystal Mall in Connecticut?" And which, by the way, is a ferry drive away from Montauk. Wink. And I'm like, "No." I said, "Holy cow, thanks for writing. No, that's amazing. Thank you." And so I've been having these dreams since the 80s. And I went on and I Google imaged the Crystal Mall, and I was specifically looking like for the food court and things that I really have embedded in my head. I'm not the type of person that gets really strong visceral reactions to things. I'm not like a freak out person, or I get the chills or whatever. I'm not joking, you guys. I had chills going from my toes up to my head and back down to my toes and up to my head, like goosebumps. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. But it's not just a mall, because when you get out of the mall, there's a whole world. There's an amusement park, there's a water park, there's restaurants, there's neighborhoods, there's hotels. The hotels for me are I don't like when I'm in the hotel, and it's a learning tool. Like, so you know what we were talking about earlier with the AI, where as the AI gets more sophisticated, it learns the patterns. It's the same thing that's happening to the people in the mall world. It's you're being programmed, because you'll explore this mall, and the next time you're in the dream, you're like, oh crap, I remember this dream. All the lights are going to go out and the doors are going to lock and I'm not going to be able to find my way out. But then you remember and you eventually find the way out. And then the next time you have the dream of the mall, you're like, okay, now I know. I got to go all the way to this end, into the JC Penney's, through the employee lounge and out the back door into the parking lot. Then you can't find your car and you got to go through that whole part of the maze. It's all video game like. And so you're being programmed, but for me, the hotels are very freaky. I'm always alone in these places. If I start out in a dream with someone, like my dad's with me or friends with me, when I hit the mall world, I'm totally alone. And I'm spending a good portion of the dream looking for the person who I lost. And then I'm scared because where am I? And everybody's gone. And,
Well, I'll tell you what, next time you get in that mall world, if you're looking for the mall cop, it's me on the Segway. Okay.
All right. I'm going to find you, Rick.
Okay,
I'm going to find you. It's crazy. The amusement park is creepy. There's a school, there's an elementary school, there's a college, there's a high school. And it's funny, you'll dream about it and it'll be like your first day of school and you go to all your classes and you get all your homework assignment. And then like a year later, you'll have the dream again and you'll show up in the class and you'll realize I haven't done my homework for a year. And you like freak out, like trying to catch up on a year's worth of homework because you retain what you learned there the first time. They have tons of swimming pools and most of them are indoor swimming pools and they're incongruent. They're too big. They're shaped weird. The borders are off. They're creepy. They have bathrooms in the mall world that everybody talks about. They're so creepy. They're dirty. There's no stalls. And you go in there and all of a sudden there's tons of people and you have to go so bad, but there's nowhere to go without. As soon as you like sit down, everybody turns around and starts staring at you. And one of the gate program people that were talking, I think it was a video I saw, a TikTok short or something. And she said the purpose of the bathrooms in the mall world is specifically to put iniquity and defilement upon you because you're in there and you're shameful, like, and everyone's watching and it's dirty and it's filthy and you meet strange characters in there. And so each section of the mall world kind of has a different, and what's really strange has a different like agendas. To finish my sentence, what's really strange, guys, is the mall world, doesn't this sound like the devil? It is designed just for you. You know, when I said earlier that this AI stuff is kind of narcissistic and grooming, every guy I've talked to who goes to the mall world talks about the arcade and the video game store.
Okay.
I have been going to the mall. I've been going to the mall world for 30 years and I've never seen an arcade. I'm in a bookstore and a guitar store every time.
So interesting. It's so what you're saying is no matter who goes into the mall world, they're player one.
Yes.
You know, there's a movie out exactly
Ready
like
Player
that.
One.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, that's so strange because I've seen videos popping up lately in regard to this mall world, and as you describe it as a created world, like there's tier upon tier upon tier. I am not a gamer either, Vicki, but I have grandchildren that are, and I see them playing games where they are creating worlds or building worlds. They're building buildings and they're building amusement parks and they're building. It literally is like a video game. And of course, then the big thing is to destroy it all and watch it all come crumbling down. But I notice, and that game that I'm thinking of is Minecraft. Minecraft. Why do
Gotcha.
they call it craft? Minecraft. And you're talking about the special classes, the gate classes, I believe you called them. My eldest son was chosen to be in the Pegasus program. And of course, we denied that. I literally got letters from the state government wanting to know why I refused to allow my child to go into this program. But again, where I'm going is coming to the names. Pegasus, really? We have an Apollo space program, Apollyon. We've got Babel is a language program. We've got Dragon, which is a dictation program. We've got Viper radar to tell us the weather. Why are all the names of ancient gods?
Do you guys know that the biggest, hugest kind of AI corp out there is called Palantir?
Right.
From Lord of the Rings, the crystal ball where they could see the future. Yeah, all these names, even NVIDIA, which is a supplier of all these quantum computer chips. I write about it in my upcoming book, From Eden to AI, available June 2026. But in NVIDIA, they spell it different. It's this goddess of envy who hates humanity. Why'd you name your company that? And it wasn't an error. Like, I actually write in the book how they named it after her. Thought it was such a great name. So, like, you're right.
And you should look at
the
symbology of the logos too.
The eye.
Right.
It's a green eye in a spiral shape.
It's just like the people decorating their yards right now for Halloween. Excuse me, I almost didn't say that right. Yeah. It's the same thing. It's like, it's cute, isn't it? Isn't it cute to name it this? Isn't it cute to do that? I mean, drive down the highway and look at the things people attach to their automobiles. Do they not know what they are attaching to themselves? It's literally goes back to your presentation at the conference in Ohio of the Holy Nation. What are you inviting in? Because you are inviting it in, and then they're going to run to you and say, Vicki, help me, because I'm having this dream, or I felt like something's sitting on my chest and I can't breathe, and probably, and I say probably because I'm not an expert, I don't know, but probably if you go to investigate at some point in their life, whether they were coerced into it, as those who you mentioned Montauk, some who were coerced into it, tricked into it. Others just think it's cute. It's cool. I've got these crystals and these dragons and these, all these mystical creatures on my bookshelf and in my home. If you go back far enough, you'll find out they actually invited those entities into their home. And again, it comes back to the thing we talk about on the C2K report all the time. As overseers, there is a huge responsibility we have as the priest of our house, and we will stand before God in judgment as to how we fulfilled that priesthood.
I gotta tell you, you talk about cute, and you talk about household stuff. So my youngest son, Lewis, yes, I'm gonna name him on the program because I'm. This is purposely an educational moment, okay? So, like a lot of kids, anime is a big thing now, right? There's a lot of anime out there, and he likes Pokemon. Well, Pokemon's full of all kinds of crazy,
Pocket monster.
And that's exactly where I was going, Randy. I tell him the truth. That Pokemon stands for Pocket Monster. And he just wants to debate with me. No, Dad, no, that's not true. That's not true. And I'm telling you, it's everywhere. It is everywhere. And the role-playing aspect of it and the, capturing monsters. You know how many people, they had an app where you would go capture a Pokemon somewhere, in the field or whatever. Pokemon Go, exactly. Now, thankfully, my son never got into that, but people got themselves in serious danger using that because it'd be in the middle of the road or, on a highway or who knows where to go to capture a stupid little monster. So yeah, this stuff is taking people's minds over. It's crazy.
Yep.
Absolutely. And the church doesn't see it or refuses to talk about it. Or if they do, they're poo-pooed off as some, stuffed shirt. You guys are nuts. It's not a pocket monster. It's not. Rock and roll is not bad. You go back to the 50s and there were some legitimate warnings in regards to that. There was also a lot of illegitimate because it was different. They weren't really looking into or investigating anything. And if a pastor's not investigating, he's not looking to the Word of God, he's not hearing from the Spirit of God, he's not doing the legwork to investigate what he's going to talk about and know what it is. It's just different from what he grew up, and he's going to talk against it. He's not doing his people any service at all. But I guess where I'm going with that is we as a congregation have often poo-pooed them off as well. That's just, it's cool, it's cultural, it's nothing to do with, no, it's not a pocket monster, no, it's not demonic, no, I'm not inviting spirits into my home, and then they wake up and call Vicki and say, what do I do?
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
Well, so Vicki, go ahead. I'm going to let you kind of wrap it all up into a nice little bow.
So despite it, I hope it doesn't sound like I'm talking out of both sides of my mouth right now. Here's the deal, guys. We live in Babylon. There's no escaping this till Jesus comes back. And like you said, Randy, this stuff's being foisted upon us. Copilot's just showing up on our computers. Doesn't mean we have to use it, but here's the deal. This is embedded everywhere. We're using AI when we don't even know we're using it. If you go onto your bank website and the instant messenger pops up and you say, here's my account, it's AI, right? So not everything, not every modern convenience or computing device or game is evil and bad, and you're interacting with the Nephilim and now you're going to stand before judgment. We're just talking about what is ahead. You, especially if you're the leader of your home, now, before the crap hits the fan, now is the time where you sit down with your family and you set the boundaries. This is where we cross the line. This is what we're not going to do. And I think it's very important to know, and I want to, very important for everyone to hear this, and I'm going to end on this, and that is when you're dealing with something that the Bible doesn't explicitly address, you might be given a calling that every other Christian isn't given, right? Some people might be called to get rid of every electronic in their home and live off grid.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Other people we're going to get rid of the VR goggles. Kids, we're not doing the VR goggles anymore. And we're going to limit our gaming to an hour a day. And we're going to have one computer in the living room with the screen facing out so mom and dad can always see what you're up to. We're going to set some rules. And so what I see is that stuff like this divides Christians, where the Holy Spirit will come to you and you will be so convicted that for me and my house, this is what we're going to do. But then what happens is you go to someone else's house, and if God hasn't told that house to do it, now you're fire hosing them and judging them, and the church is dividing over this stuff. So you have to understand that what God calls you to do in this tech era might not be the same exact stuff he tells your neighbor or your pastor or your Christian friend to do. Now, here's the deal. I'm going to put this out there. Some of us might be alive during a portion of the tribulation. Some of us might suffer before we're sucked into the heavenly Hoover, right? Some of us might break a toenail, right? Some of us might die before then. Some people, they're older or they're sick. Some people might not live to that. So is God going to put someone who's going to be dead in 5 years and someone who's actually going to live through days of Noah time, is he going to put them through the same trials and have the same expectations? So it could be that the reason why you're being held to a higher standard and it's difficult and you have to give up fun things you don't want to give up, and your Christian friend doesn't have to give those things up, is you might be called to something. You might have to lay down your life in a FEMA camp, and that person might die of old age in a nursing home and never have to see any of this. So what you have to understand is what the Lord tells you to do isn't a chiseled in stone rule that he's going to tell everybody else. And they're somehow not as spiritual as you, or they didn't hear the Holy Spirit right. We have to understand as a believer that we're all going to play different roles in this war. And the boot camp, that like the training you go to after boot camp, if you're going to be a gunner on a tank, you're going to have training that the guy that does KP duty isn't going to have.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Everybody has to learn how to shoot their weapons. Like everyone's going to get a weapon, but you're not necessarily going to teach the guy in an administrative position how to drive a Humvee, right? Because it's not his role. We're in a military operation here, guys, and there's hundreds of different positions and ranks. And if you're being sent to some special training and it's boot camp and it stinks and you're doing PT every day and you have to do 100 more push-ups than this guy over here, and how did he get off? Hey, look, there's a give and a take. You have the harder training, but you might have the harder job. And you might have the more heroic badges by the end too, right? What medal are you seeking? Do you want the medal where I want fire insurance, I don't want to go to hell, but you're not longing to see Jesus's face? So that's the medal you're going to get. Okay, you're going to get your little Boy Scout badge that says, here's my fire insurance. And then you can go and live in the nosebleed sections for eternity. Maybe see Jesus a few times a year during some feasts, right? But if you want to bask in the glow of the glory of Jesus in his kingdom forever, where you don't ever want to be out of his sight, you're going to have to do a lot of stuff that your Christian friends don't have to do. So
Wow.
now we're later, guys. Now we're later.
That's a nice
And-
wrap up. I'm still the guy on the Segway. Go ahead, Randy.
I love it. Yeah, what a wrap up, because how often do we as believers, we throw logic out the window. We come to Jesus and leave our brain in the pew when we come down the aisle. But he says he's given us a sound mind, and you have brought a sound mind into it. And yeah, I get it. Some people, they see a demon under every rock, and other people never see a demon because, oh, I went to Jesus, can't touch this.
Yep.
And we've got these extremes. And what you're talking about is to move away from the extremes, move into the sound mind that God gave you, and apply the cognitive abilities that God instilled in your mind. And I'm going to leave it at that so Rick can close.
Just want to just thank Vicki for being with us tonight, for spending this time. And I'm not against having you on more often personally,
Amen. I'm for it.
I've been watching your list literally grow on VickiJoyAnderson.com. Yeah, of all the different podcasts you've done, it blows my mind that you're out there that much. You've done that much stuff. So visit VickiJoy.com, VickiJoyAnderson.com. And go and check out those different podcasts. Check out her books. Get ready to pre-order whenever that comes up. The next book, because that sounds fascinating. And just want to thank you for being here, Randy. I'll give you a chance to see her off here.
Well, I just have to reiterate that. Thank you very much. I know Vicki's a very, very sought-after speaker and very busy individual, and Rick and I both thank you from the bottoms of our hearts for taking the time to be with us, because we are not the big show out there that everybody's going to see you. But we're okay with that, because we are believers that straight is the gate and narrow is the way that leads to righteousness, and few there are that find it. And there is a way that seems right to a man, but the end thereof leads to destruction. And we hope we are leading people down a path that is the way to to Jesus Christ, who is the way, the truth, and the life. And I believe your book, they only come out at night. I've read your poetry. I'm familiar with what you did with Pilgrim's Progress. That's a interesting thing, and I'm going to leave that out there as a teaser for people anxious for your book to come out. And you're doing the same thing. You are trying to show people there is a way that leads to righteousness and to life. So thank you from Rick and I in the C2K Report, and hope to have you on again soon. VickiJoyAnderson.com, folks. Check it out.
Yep, get over there. And remember, everything that we do here at the C2K Report, it's all about the blood. See you later.
The walls are high, the chains are tight. Babylon whispers in the dead of night, promising gold, but it's rust and dust. A throne of lies, a kingdom unjust. Oh, can't you hear the distant drums? They're calling.